The idea being that spirits who pass over, as you say, who die, who transition, may not always go all the way for a variety of reasons. Some may have unfinished business on earth. Some, because of their belief systems, may not have had a particular expectation or assumption of what they would experience in the so-called afterlife, and thus be a little bit confused about where they are. Some even may not even know they're dead and are wandering, looking for reasons why no one can hear them or see them. But now and then, either due to a lowering of their vibrational frequency, sort of similar to the idea of invisible ultraviolet light lowering its frequency to become visible as part of the visible spectrum of light, going down into violet and blue and so on and so forth. If they lower their frequency, they may become visible to those in the physical realm, or those in the physical realm may have enough sensitivity to perceive that spirit, even though it may not always be visible to everyone. But for some reason, they are still closely connected energetically to the physical realm of Earth, due to some of the reasons we have said or other reasons, and thus are still in their mind living among you, wandering among you, occupying the old houses, so on and so forth, what you typically refer to as a haunting, which doesn't in any way, shape, or form have to be malicious. Simply another person in another state, living in a place among the living. But the idea is that in seeing these beings, there is no way without communicating with them to know the reason why they may still be in what is referred to as the lower astral realm, very close to the vibration of physical reality, lowering their vibration enough to be perceived by physical beings. And this is the older and original definition of an exorcist, sort of a spirit psychologist, to communicate, find out why that being is in that state, why they're still lingering around Earth, which doesn't always have to be for a negative reason. Sometimes, when spirits cross over, and they act, in a sense, as guardians, spirit guides, for those who are still living, there may be reasons why they can learn to lower their vibration to interact with the living in certain ways, even to the degree of appearing solid as a living physical being. This takes some skill and some practice on the part of spirits to do this, because once you are in spirit and in that high frequency vibration that is generally invisible to the living, it is actually not as natural for a spirit to go back down into the lower vibrations and become perceivable to the living. But there are those who may have reason to do so, to appear to the living in certain ways, to deliver messages, or perhaps as a protector, to alert living people to certain ideas, certain situations and circumstances, be it dangerous or not. So those spirits may have a high degree of need to lower their vibration to interact with the living and be perceived as living people until such time as they raise their vibration again and vanish before your eyes. And so there may be great need to do this, or they may simply have chosen to practice the ability of raising and lowering their vibration in order to interact with the living for a variety of their own reasons, or agreements they may have made with the living people with whom they interact. Now, beyond the idea of it actually being a spirit, a ghost per se, that you're interacting with, that is live in real time, as you say, there may be other effects that exist that can be interpreted as seeing a ghost. And one of them is the idea that in the fabric of space-time, everything is recorded. You might say, again, as people on your planet often name it, the Akashic records have a kind of video sort of ability to record things as well as audio or pure information. And all that information is available here and now because everything exists here and now. So again, for those that might be sensitive enough, might extend their senses far enough vibrationally to pick up on certain things that may have happened, linearly speaking, in the past, and perceive the recording, it's etched itself into the fabric of space and time. They may be seeing a recording of sorts, an echo of sorts of things that have been, or even will be, in your linear framework, and perceive that as a living ghost, even though it is simply an echo, a recording, something etched into the fabric of space-time, and is no longer actually present. These kinds of perceptions will usually appear to be repeatable. In other words, a person may say, oh yes, this place is haunted, and at midnight, every 3 days, you see this woman walking down the hallway into this room, and so on and so forth. And if that keeps repeating, it might not be what would be termed a living presence. It might actually be a recording, repeating over and over again when the conditions are right to trigger it, or when the conditions are right in a person's senses to perceive it. Another way that people might perceive the idea of a ghost that is not a ghost in the classic sense is the idea of peering into parallel realities. Sometimes the so-called barriers between one reality and another will overlap, will weaken, will align vibrationally in some way, shape, or form to allow a person from your reality to actually perceive, although perhaps faintly and dimly, people in other realities. And therefore, in suddenly seeing an apparition wandering through your reality, you might perceive it or think it to be a ghost of someone who has passed over. But in fact, you are actually seeing a faint representation of a person in another reality who is just going about their business, but may seem to you to be a ghost. And they may be able to perceive you that way at that moment as well, and go back to their friends and family with tales of having seen this ghost. And they're just describing you, because again, the veils between the different realities may have weakened for some reason at that point, because these fluctuations do often happen. There are doorways and portals that open to different dimensions on a regular basis, and some of them are random, and sometimes these openings and closings can allow one in your reality to peer into other realities temporarily until they close again. And sometimes these are interpreted as spirits and ghosts when they are not, in the classic sense, such a thing.
Darryl, say good day to you all this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. So, what's new? Anything changed this fall? No? All right. We understand, as we have said, that this would be the fall of 2016 where everything would change, and I think perhaps many of you actually believe us now. The idea, however, is that, as we have said many times, the circumstances themselves aren't the issue. Your state of being always remains the issue. How you respond to what happens is far more important to how you experience your reality than what is actually happening. The idea is to always, as we have also said, make sure that you always allow yourself the opportunity to give the circumstances that do occur a positive and beneficial meaning for you, even if you recognize that there may be things within whatever happens that you don't necessarily prefer. The fact that it happens can still be used by you in a positive way to propel you forward in the way that you actually prefer to be propelled, in the direction you actually prefer to go. You can allow yourself the opportunity to begin to recognize how to look at recent circumstances in a positive way that will allow you to receive a benefit no matter what anyone else chooses to experience. Now, we understand that a lot of you, as you say in your language, are freaking out. But again, there is many, many things that can occur still. Many things are, as you say, up in the air. The greatest effect here is the effect that you call shock and disorientation. But this can be a positive thing if you use it that way. For you are literally now in a place where you are disoriented from your previous reality. You are floating in limbo, many of you, and this is an opportunity for you to create a new reality in a very accelerated way because you have been unlocked by the shock from your previous reality, from any degree of complacency, from any degree of assuming that things would simply move along as they always have. This can be used in a very powerful, transformative way. Look at it like this by analogy, if you are willing to do so. Let's say you are in a little boat, a kayak, whatever you wish to be in, and you're floating down a placid river, all nice and slow and peaceful. And then suddenly you hit some rapids. If you understand how to ride the rapids, you can actually navigate your way through them and get downstream much, much faster than otherwise you would have just floating along on the placid river. So, this is an opportunity for you to experience a few rapids. And yes, there may be some bumps. But if you can understand how to stay in the state of being you prefer, and allow yourself to ride those rapids with skill and vision, you will find that this is actually something, because of the unlocking, that has given you an opportunity to move very quickly, to accelerate very quickly in the direction of the reality you prefer. This is, at this nexus point right now, one of the major nexus points of the splitting into different parallel realities. One of the things you have been given the opportunity to see very clearly is that, in a sense, you are living in two different countries. Yes? Yes. Almost evenly divided. So the idea is, now that those who have, in your terms, quote-unquote, won your election, they now feel capable of allowing themselves to be clear about who they are because they feel safe in doing so. And so this allows you the opportunity to see exactly who they are. And nothing is now hidden because they think they are free to express themselves no matter in what way may seem non-preferential to you. It gives you a better idea, a much clearer idea, because they are no longer hiding their ideas. They are no longer hiding their perspective, their points of view. No matter how vibrationally incompatible you may find them, they have now exposed themselves for who they are. And thus, this is part of what we have said about you're getting everything out on the table very, very transparently so that you can decide what kind of a world you actually prefer, and they can decide what kind of a world they actually prefer. I will tell you that there are still going to be a few surprises even for them, because the person that they have elected won't necessarily be always doing things the way they thought he would. So this is far from over for a lot of reasons. This is a process that's going to continue for quite some time, and you will see that it will fluctuate quite radically from time to time in a variety of different directions. But nevertheless, what you are really seeing, what you're actually experiencing for the first time more consciously, is literally two side-by-side realities that are reflective of actual parallel reality splitting. So, this is your opportunity to remain in a vibratory state, not be scared, not go negative, not in any way, shape, or form react, but respond with that positive vibration so that you can ride that wave that is now happening and allow yourself to ride it, as we said, in balance, with skill, in the direction that it can propel you toward what you prefer much, much more quickly. This shock wave is literally that, a wave of shock. And it can propel you very rapidly in the direction that you prefer if you use it that way. So please, remain in the state of being that you prefer. You have many symbols that are inherent within this particular event that has happened now that are very similar to other events that have happened in terms of their shock ability. As has been pointed out already, you have a very similar energy to what you experienced on what you call 9/11, and it was repeated on 11/9. So you're getting the mirror image and coming out the other side. You have the anniversary at this time of a wall that was torn down and people talking about building another one. So again, you see the polarity and the paradox in these events if you know how to look at them. You know how to read the symbols. Know what kind of a permission slip this is for you. So do not despair. Do not give in and match the vibration of fear and negativity. See this as an opportunity that others may not see. And lead the way by staying in the state of being that you prefer so you can, by example, demonstrate to others how they can also ride this wave. There is no need for the negative reaction. You're only matching the frequency of what you fear. Allow yourself to see this in a very different way, for it is a very powerful, magical opportunity that has unlocked you from an old reality. It is also, in many ways, acted as a safety valve for many kinds of tensions that were existing on your planet. We understand that there may be many other countries on your world that are reacting also with fear to this particular kind of change. But at the same time, if you look around, the ones that were actually, in a sense, most dangerous to you have now actually relaxed their stance because they feel that the person now in charge of your country is someone they can actually speak with. And whether that becomes true or not, the idea is the tensions in the areas that need to be brought down have now gone down. So things have actually smoothed out in those areas because they are of like mind. Now, it may not necessarily be a mind that most of you prefer, but the very fact that they think they can communicate breaks the tension. Do you understand? Yes. So you have to look at the results on a big picture, a big scale, to understand all the ramifications of what's going on here. But you will not be able to see them in a positive way unless you yourself choose to be in a positive state first. Because remember, you cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of. So by staying in a positive state, you will get more opportunity to have inspirations and big picture perspectives that will allow you to see what we're telling you very clearly. That this was an opportunity to unlock from the status quo, because it is one of the most important things that needs to happen in a civilization that's about to have contact with extraterrestrial societies in an open way, is that you get unlocked from the status quo. You have to drift free of all you assumed was normal, of all you took for granted, of the society you thought you were living in, to actually drift over into another vibration of another reality that contains the potential for extra-dimensional contact. And now you are drifting in that limbo. You are unlocked from the status quo. You now are open to the idea that, well, anything can happen now. And that is exactly the state of being you need to be in to actually experience open contact with us and other extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings. So this is working in your favor. And it is, in that sense, a gift you have been given, even though it may not necessarily have been the intention of those that gave it to you. Because things work in mysterious ways, do they not? And you can always see the positive and the negative and choose which one you prefer. Now, I will share something else with you. That also is a precursor and leading up to the idea of change in many areas on your planet, but specifically we are still going to focus on your particular country. Many of you have known for quite some time that our ship is above the area you call Sedona, Arizona. Yes? Yes. And we have talked about the idea that we are connected to the vortex, a very powerful vortex in that area. And we have been pumping energy and vibrations into that vortex so that it can contain more potential for discovering yourself, more potential for awakening into who you truly are, more potential for extraterrestrial contact. Now, here's the trick. As you watched on your election night, your country maps, yes, and you had your blue states and your red states popping up and you're not ready to count yet. And as you started to see more and more and more red, yes, more blue states previously flipping to red, yes, and you saw a huge swath of red through the middle of your country, yes, and then you saw one little arm of red come over and go down to what? Arizona. Now there's a link to that vortex for all those that consider themselves to be in the red areas, and the vibration of our energy can now begin to slowly leak and follow that path up into the red areas and start to blossom in all the little vortices that exist in those areas, so that unbeknownst to a lot of people, they will suddenly be bathed in an energy they quite not figure out what's happening. To change their mind, to change their perspective, they will be given an opportunity to have more of that energy by creating a connective link for themselves in that way to that vortex without even knowing what they're doing. But we know what's going on, and we know how to take advantage of that and allow our energy to blossom in those areas. Doesn't mean someone has to pay attention to it, but it affords more opportunity for that energy because they're all considering themselves now to be united. And they will look at that pathway in their own way, but they will not see the underground pathway that we see for that energy to leak into all of those areas. So that will also help promote the idea of opening up minds, opening up and changing perspectives, and allowing them to reconsider and see more clearly the choices that they are making. And you may see some very surprising changes going on in that area over the years to come, between your year now and your year of 2020. With respect to the idea of contact, with respect to the idea of the disclosure of the presence of us and other extraterrestrials, not saying it's going to happen, so please do not misquote us. But there is a higher probability now of disclosure actually happening. Because what do you have in the position of power? Someone who simply does what they think is cool and makes them look good. Hey, what if I told everyone that the aliens are real? Wouldn't that make me stand out above everyone else? Narcissist that I am. So there is actually a potential for someone who is typically a loose cannon to let something slip that they think might actually make them look good, regardless of what others may actually prefer them to do or not do. So the idea is, even though they may think they can rely on their candidate, they're going to get a few surprises. Now, the idea is to also allow yourself to remember that the affiliations of that person are actually much broader than you may think. They have actually come from an opposite political party. Yes? You understand the background? And they are allowing cracks to happen through which other kinds of energies and interests will come in that, again, many may think will serve their agenda, but may be surprised to find will actually serve an opposite agenda in time. So this has actually allowed them, in their complacency, to open up cracks and not pay attention to certain things that are leaking in. Such as the fact, and what may seem to be extremely paradoxical to you, that the focus on the election was so intense that those opposed to legalizing marijuana didn't know what hit them. Weren't paying attention. And suddenly, that passed. And so you see the ideas working for you in a variety of ways, kind of like what you call your little magic trick of the cups and the balls. And where's the ball now? Where's the ball now? Where's the ball now? Oh, look over here. Oops, you missed it. So again, there are opportunities that are here for you that are peppered throughout this experience, this event. You just know how to look and how to find them by staying in the positive state. And with regard to the idea of disclosure, you will find that at this time, whether it's this individual or not, things have been accelerated in a different way, along a different path. Doesn't mean it was the same path as before, but it may actually allow for more probabilities and more opportunities to open up, more cracks to form in the status quo, so that things may crumble in such a way as to allow for new things to come in much more quickly than before, than the status quo itself may have actually allowed. We're not talking here about the idea of the integrity or lack thereof of any individual or who you may have preferred because they represent something that you are in alignment with. We're talking about the idea of exactly how your society needs to change to open up to new things that you all say you would like to happen, that you would prefer to have happen. And sometimes those things can only happen in the most unexpected ways, when things do create a shockwave within your consciousness, so that you're finally willing to truly let go of the status quo and realize that you really can't predict for yourselves a lot of the things that are going to be happening. All bets are off for you. And this is a sparkling opportunity, because now you can decide in this limbo state really where the ball on the wheel you're spinning will fall. But the idea of the analogy of roulette is that now there are two balls on the roulette wheel that represent the two different parallel realities. But the wheel is still spinning. They haven't really fallen yet. No matter how it may look, they haven't fallen yet. And when they do, you will see more and more and more acceleration in the split of the two realities, and more shifts and changes going on either side, until they finally settle out and you really start to feel the drifting apart of those two realities. And with regard to disclosure, you will find that as the pathways are laid out now, and as the probabilities have increased for alternate paths to such and to open contact, that sometime between now and certainly no later than the idea of 2025, some form of disclosure of our presence will occur. There is another demarcation point in your year of 2020. It might happen before, it might happen after. There are still many things in flux, many things in fluctuations that cannot be in any way, shape, or form predicted. All you need to know is that you have unleashed many more probabilities for you to take advantage of, to allow yourself to ride that wave in the direction of what you prefer, if you will just learn to look at it that way. Is it a deal? Yes. All right. Then we thank you for allowing us to share this perspective with you. There will be more to come. And in return for the gift that you are giving us, we ask now, how may we be of service to you? You may begin with your questions if you wish.
Hello, Bashar. It's my first time being here.
All right, to you, good day.
I came all the way from Canada.
I have come all the way from Essassani.
Please.
Probably took me less time than it took you to come from Canada.
Yes. I have a few questions. I recently actually attended the workshops with Abraham.
Yes.
I went to the cruise, and I was also picked on a stage to speak with Abraham.
All right. Did you have fun?
Yes, I did.
All right.
But she sort of confused me.
Oh, all right.
It comes to your teachings.
Yes.
I mean,
how so?
There
can be many interpretations of these concepts, by the way, but how so?
One of the concepts you've been teaching, I've been following you for many, many years. You said that everything already exists now.
Yes.
Absolutely everything, wherever we thought, whatever ever existed, every single situation.
Everything having to do with the structure of existence exists now. Your experience and perspective of the structure is what changes and expands creation.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And what she was mentioning, Abraham,
yes.
How I gathered, she corrected me right away in the fact that everything already exists. She said it's a false premise.
Because of the what?
Because of the fact that the universe expands based on our own creations.
That's what I just said, though. You see, you're getting one side of an interpretation because it was apparent to Abraham that that was the connotation and the context in which that idea was being presented. But that's what we just said. The structure never changes. The structure exists. But what changes, what expands creation, is the idea of your experience and perspective of that structure that never changes and already exists.
So it's sort of like a combination of already whatever exists by us creating from whatever already exists, creating something new.
Yes.
Like
you change your perspective. Mm-hmm. That creates something new. And that's what expands creation. So the idea that there is no expansion is false in terms of if someone thinks that's what it means, that everything simultaneously exists. These are not contradictory concepts. They're complementary concepts if you understand the actual structure of existence and how it works. Mm-hmm. But many people on your planet may have a misinterpretation of this idea, and therefore Abraham wanted to make sure that no one was thinking that it's all just done and there's nothing else to do and there's no other expansion and no other change that can happen and it's a fait accompli and I might as well die. Because Abraham can sense that many people have that interpretation of the idea that everything already exists. But we're not talking about the idea of what you create as your perspective and experience of everything that already exists. That's what expands. And that's exactly what Abraham actually said. You expand creation. You expand creation with your experience of what already exists.
Yeah, and that's what I understand. And now, when does it actually expansion happens? It happens.
It's happening all the time.
No, but what I mean, it's like through me. It happens when the new idea is born. That's already expansion.
Do you understand what we meant when we said that you shift through billions of parallel realities every second?
Yeah.
Then each and every one of those is an expansion, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
You guess?
No, yes.
Yes. Therefore, it's expanding all the time. Because every change is a total change, a complete change. Literally. You are in a different universe right now. You're in a different universe right now. You're in a different universe right now. You're in a different universe right now. Mm-hmm. Total change.
So those jumpings through the universes.
Yes.
This is the actual expansion.
Yes. And everything you do in the way you do it in that jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does this help clarify the issue a bit?
Yes, very much so. Yes.
All right. Anything else?
Yes. Also, if it comes to the belief system, is it necessary? That's the dilemma I have. Is it necessary in order to, let's say, I wanted to achieve something, I have a desire.
Yes.
And it's not coming to fruition. Is it necessary to examine my belief system? What is it that it's holding me back? It can be, but you also have to be very aware that sometimes what you want is not what you need. Mm-hmm. Therefore, you have to be open to receiving what you need,
assuming that what you want and what you need might sometimes coincide. That's fine, but it doesn't always. So we would suggest that what you really focus on is what you need, because if you get everything you need, you will be fulfilled. But sometimes getting what you want doesn't fulfill you, because what you want is not always what you need. Is this making sense?
Yes, it does.
So you can always examine your beliefs to make sure that, in a sense, yes, you're not getting in your own way, you're not blocking yourself, so to speak. But when you realize where the insistence or desire is coming from, and whether it is actually a recognition of your truth or a recognition of resistance, then you will know the difference. You will know whether it is a product of your excitement or a product of your anxiety that you think it needs to happen that way. Because insistence is resistance. Because you're saying, you know best what the outcome should be, and the truth is, you have no idea what the best outcome should be. None. Zero. But your higher mind does. So let the higher mind bring you what you need next, and you will find that that's the path to fulfillment.
So it wouldn't be like a shortcut to have desire.
You can always use the desire to create a visualization that is representative, symbolic of an ideal outcome, to get you excited. But that's all it's for, is to put you in the proper state to be able to then receive what you actually need. So when you use a desire or a visualization, a representation, a symbol, a picture, an image of what you believe at the moment would be the ideal outcome, and you feel really excited about what you're seeing, the moment you are at the peak of excitement, drop the picture. Utterly drop it and be open to receive what comes next as being the next thing you actually need, no matter how it looks. Then you will find that things will flow very quickly in a lot of directions that will give you a lot of fulfillment. But you have to drop the insistence that you know best what the next thing should be or what the outcome should be of your excitement, because you don't really know why the excitement came in the form that it did. Sometimes excitement will simply come in a certain form just to, as you say in your language, get you off your butt and take action in that direction. But just because it comes in a certain form doesn't mean that that form has to come to fruition. You don't know why it came that way. But you will find out if you just keep following the passion and the excitement with no insistence or assumption as to what the result of that is supposed to be. You'll see what it is. You'll be shown what it is. You have to trust what comes to you and use it in the best possible way by staying in a positive state so you can always extract the beneficial effect. If you go into a negative state, oh, that shouldn't have happened, you can only extract a negative effect, and that doesn't really serve you. So you can have your desires, you can have your wishes, you can have your visualizations, just don't insist that it has to be that way, because the truth is you don't know what actually serves you best from the physical perspective. But your higher mind does, so let it do its job.
Yeah, so it's the best, it's to connect to higher self and don't even bring attention to anything what could be possible stopping me from, because...
Again, you can use it as a tool to get you into the proper state. We're simply saying don't insist on it because you don't know that that's actually the best outcome. Sometimes it might be, but it might not be. So in actual fact, if you realize that insistence on a particular outcome is actually a limitation, you'll stop doing it. Because how do you know that something 10 times better couldn't have happened than what it is you imagined? Let the higher mind show you something 10 times better. Don't insist that you know it all, because you don't.
No, of course.
All right.
And
does that help?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Another thing what I got away being on in the presence of Abraham was like what they explained, that universe is about inclusion.
Yes.
Not about exclusion. So the moment we bring something to our awareness,
yes,
even the fact of forgiveness, it's already you concentrating on the fact of forgiveness.
Yes.
And it brings that negative state in you.
All right, but understand the universe is positive and negative. Yes? Yes, the idea of the universe is slightly bent more in the positive direction, which allows you to say that the universe and existence is more about inclusion than exclusion. But both things exist on every level of existence.
Oh, yeah?
The idea is to understand that there is a balance point in the center. That's why things aren't a duality, they're a trinity. There's always a center point. Now, the center point being the balance point between the two polar opposites, because it is a balance point, it gives you the freedom to choose what you prefer. That's a slightly positive energy. So in a sense, you could say existence is, all right, 51% positive and 49% negative. But it does contain negative energy. And the idea of positive and negative is not a subjective value judgment. It's just a mechanical description. As you say, positive energy is inclusive, integrative, expansive. Negative energy is simply segregative, disconnective, diminishing. That's just a description of the way the energy works, mechanically speaking. It's not a subjective value judgment as to one is good or bad. That's different. The idea simply is to flow with the energy that works for you, because generally most of you would prefer to operate in harmony with existence because it is more advantageous and beneficial in effect. Then yes, go with the flow of the positive, instead of swimming upstream and resisting the flow and experiencing the idea of the mechanical negative side of the universe, of existence. But the universe, existence, is both. You get to choose. Yin yang. You get to choose. Yes?
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bashar 你好
And to you, good day.
Good day, Bashar.
我代表今天跟我一起来的20个左右的小朋友和中国的数以万计的朋友跟你问好。
Firstly, I want to represent our Chinese friends here, maybe over 20 people here.
All right.
All the Chinese friends to say good day and thank you.
All right.
我在中国经常上比上安球迷的轻而易举的富足，生活有了很大的改变。
In China, I always attend a seminar called Effortless Prosperity, which is whose the course leader is Bishang and Zhongming. And my life changed a lot.
All right.
他是从美国去的，所以我也很感谢美国。
He's American, so I really thank the U.S.
可是前一阵好像受到了一些攻击，我想问，轻而易举的富足对中国的正能量的影响有多广有多大？
And several months before, the course leader got attacked from some other people. So my question is, how long will this how long will this affect China? Because this seminar is very good and a lot of people changed their life.
That's fine, but there will always be a change even in the seminar that you've already been taking, because everything always changes to fit the changing times. And it's simply a permission slip that allows people to give themselves permission to change.
一切都是伴随着这个改变在改变的，而且这个改变也是在有允许的情况下的。
So find the permission slip that works for you at this particular moment.
所以在固定的时期，某个特定的时期找到那个允许。
You get to decide what works for you.
你要决定什么对你来说是有效的。
There are many choices.
有很多的选择，
So walk the path that works for you.
所以你要走向那个对你来说管用的道路。
And if you change, then choose a different kind of permission slip that works for you then.
如果你改变的话，那就去选择那个对你来说最适合的那个道路。
Is this making sense?
这个你听起来感觉有道理吗？
有
Yes.
Does that help?
那这个有帮助吗？
有。
Yes.
Is that it, or is there something else?
那就是这样，还是还有一些别的？
还有，
And also something else.
我之前会在冥想中会跟外星 不知道哪个星球各种外星人有一些接触。
Before, in my meditation, I always get connected with some other aliens. I don't know which planet it is.
浅浅的接触。
It's an ancient Orion connection.
那个叫做是他说的这个圣特安人连接。
There are other connections as well, but that's the one that's standing out at the moment.
也有一些其他的连接，但是他刚才翻译的那个星球就是跟你连接最多的。
我觉得他们是纯粹的正能量，所以对我的影响也很大。
I feel that they are very pure positive energy and which affect me a lot.
Yes, well, the idea of the Orion energy is all about transforming darkness into light.
是的，那所有的能量都是要把黑暗转向光明的。
我知道，如果我邀请飞碟或者是一些显形，他们应该是答应的。
I know if I invite some UFOs to come here, I know they will say yes.
They may say yes, but it's up to you to decide whether or not you are the appropriate vibration to perceive them. Because there is a lot of things going on all around you that most of you simply don't see because you're not on the vibratory level to see them.
他们也许会答应，但是要看是不是一个正确的时机，因为在你周围有很多很多的事情在发生。
对，所以我有了恐惧，然后就断了一些连接。我很想做一个与正能量的星球和我们之间的管道。
Sometimes I have fear and I got disconnected. Actually, I want to be a person who can channel that kind of positive energy to this earth.
Then follow your passion, and if that is important for that to happen, it will. But you have to follow your passion as best as you can to raise your vibrational frequency and thus be more receptive to those higher frequencies.
那你要跟随你的热情，如果那个是对你来说最高的兴奋的话，你就要去跟随你的热情。
那这份恐惧如何消除
？How to dissolve this kind of fear?
Find the definition that generates the fear. What is it you are afraid will happen?
那找到你认为恐惧的那个定义是什么？那个它会发生什么？
似乎是恐惧。我冥想似乎最大的恐惧是死亡。
It seems like it's fear. The biggest fear for me is death.
Death? Death is nothing to be afraid of. You're dead right now.
你现在也是死的。
You are dead and alive at the same time. Most of you is still in spirit. This physical reality is just a dream you're having while you're in spirit.
只是一个梦幻，你只是一个灵魂，那这个现在都是梦幻。
So you're already dead.
Yes, 所以你已经是死的了。
对，我感受到了。
Yes, I felt that.
死亡是一个很大的幻象。
I know death is a very big illusion for me.
Yes.
是的。
那第三个问题就是说，我情绪有的时候比较，我的情绪如何掌控我来
？The next question is my emotions sometimes goes up and down, and how to control my emotions.
Again, you have to understand emotions don't exist by themselves.
情绪并不是自己
They don't come from nowhere.
它不是从没有什么地方。
All emotions come from something you believe to
所有
be true.
情绪都来自于你相信哪些东西是真实的。
So if you are having an emotion that you don't prefer, you have to find out what you are believing to be true that you don't prefer, because it's that belief that generates the emotion.
你要相信，你要发现你相信什么是真的，找到背后的那个东西。
So if you're holding on to a fear belief, you will have fearful emotion.
那你就会有恐惧的这种情绪。
Emotions cannot exist without a definition and a belief first.
没有任何的定义或者是什么的话，它不会恐惧不会存在的。
So if you are having that kind of an emotion, then at that moment that you're feeling it, ask this question.
那你就问这个问题。
What would I have to believe is true about myself in this situation in order to feel this emotion?
然后在这种情况下，我就感受到了这种情绪呢。我是相信了什么是真的呢
Or you can ask the question I already asked you, and that is, if you did move forward in the way that you prefer to, what are you afraid might happen? That will usually reveal the definition.
那会发生什么呢？这个也能让你发现那个定义是什么。
Does that make sense?
这个听起来有道理吗？
有的
Yes.
Does that help?
帮助到你了吗？
有。
Yes, very much.
Will that do?
那能够帮助到你
谢谢
们以后。Thank you.
谢谢.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
我来自中国。
I come from China.
我在前几年就在看你的视频、文章介绍，然后我一直对你就很兴奋，然后今天就有一个同步性的发生，我就见到你本人。
For these several years, I always watch your videos and listen to your recordings, and I'm so excited to meet you here.
We are always excited to meet any of you. It is our passion and our pleasure to
遇到你
interact
也
with
是，
all
对
of
我
you.
们来说也很兴奋，对我们来说也是很兴奋的，让我们感受到很热情的东西。
那我现在不知道要说什么，
I don't know what to ask now,
但我非常非常的开心，
but I'm very, very happy.
因为你很多的文章和视频都帮助到我，让我找到我内在可以更大的去扩张，可以让我的生活变得更好、更有力量。我非常的感谢你。
Because I watch your videos and I saw all the words, it helped me a lot. It changed my life a lot. Thank you so much.
You changed your life.
是你改变了你的生活，
But we thank you for allowing us to help.
但是我们也感谢你允许我们去帮助。
I can talk all day long,
我可以讲上一整
and none of you have to take the information and apply it in your lives. So you made the
利
choice
用在生活里
to，change your life.
是你做了这个选择，改变你的生活。
Yes?
是的
Yes.
我非常感谢我自己。
I thank myself very much.
Thank you for thanking yourself.
谢谢你，谢谢你自己。
我现在的生活已经变得特别的好，就是我在灵性学习，包括看你的视频，然后我想现在请你看一下，对我有一些指导和帮助，可以让我变得更开心，在这个地球的身体里。
Now my life gets very good, and I enjoy my life by spiritual learning and applying them. So please now check my energy and give me some advice or guidance to let me enjoy this earth.
There is no other
being in
guidance.
this body.
There is no other guidance than what we have said. You act on your
除
highest
了之前说
passion
的，没有
every
其他的了
moment that you can to the best you can,
就是追随你的最高兴奋，然后去做你最大你能够做
and
的。
you take that action on your passion with no insistence and no assumption as to what the outcome ought to be. That's
去
it.
坚持你最
That's the
那条路
guidance.，
这个就是他的指导，
It's that simple.
就是这么的简单，
You don't have to make it more complicated than that unless, of course, you enjoy complication.
不需要把它搞得复杂。你们通常会很享受复杂，
Do you?
是不是？
Are you sure you know what question you're answering?
你确定知道你的问题被回答了是吗
我知道，
？Yes, I know.
So, you don't have to make it complicated.
所以你不需要把它变得复
Keep
杂
it，simple,
让它很
keep
简单
moving,，keep acting
然后持续的这样往前
on
进
your，passion.
在你的那条路上，就是让你
Allow
很热情的
life
路上，
to happen through you.
允许生活穿越你去发生。
Yes?
OK，Yes，
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And second question，
Yes.
就是你说我们都在同一个平行时空，同时在这里又在那里，同时在过去又在现在又在未来。
等一下，You said that we are in the parallel world. At the same time, we are in the present, also in the past, also in the future.
Yes. Everything exists at the same time.
是的，一切都是在同时发生的。
那我就搞不懂为什么会是这样子，我不理解。
I didn't get it. I don't understand it.
All right. Let us use the typical analogy that we often use to
我们就
explain it.
用经常用的这个典型的来讲，
You are familiar with watching television, yes?
你是很习惯就是看电话，
Yes.
电视的，对不对？
Yes.
All right. So imagine you are watching a television show.
想象你在看一个电视节目，
Now, you change the channel,
你现在换了频道，
but the show you were watching a moment ago is still going on.
但是你之前看的那个节目，它还在继续进行呢。
But you're not seeing it anymore because you changed the channel.
但是你没在看它，因为你换频道了。
And you can change the channel again and again and again and again.
然后你还可以持续的再一次换频道。
All those shows are still going on at the same time, but you only see the one that you have changed your channel to.
所有的节目其实是在同时进行的，但是你只看到了那个你选择了频道的播的那个节目。
So all realities exist at the same time, but most of them are invisible to you because you're only focused on one at a time.
所以其实所有的实相都是在同时发生的，但是其他对你来说是视而不见的，因为你只关注在你所看到的那个上面。
But all the programs are running at the
但
same
是
time.
所有的节目都在同时在播。
Does that help explain and illustrate the concept more clearly?
刚才这个解释是不是能够帮助很清晰的你理解
？Yes， 就是那么我的未来也在此刻同时进行。
So my future is also exist right here, right now. Is that right?
Yes, but there are many probable futures. You don't know which one you're going to choose
但是有很
yet,
多可能的未来，你不知道你要选择哪个呢？
but they all exist, just
但
like
它们
all
都
the
存在
TV programs
就好
exist.
像所有的电视节目都存在一样的。
都在于我的选择。
So
But your future may be a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, a little bit of this one, a little bit of that one, a little bit of this one, a
那个
little
可
bit of
能性
that
点，
one.
那个可能性点。
And that may seem like one future, but it's not. It's actually composed of many different parallel probable futures.
看起来好像是一个未来，但实际上是由很多可能性的平行的未来组成的。
所以我要做的就是把此刻让我自己兴奋、开心。
So right here, what I should do is to be excited right here, right now.
Right here, right now, because now is all there is.
因为 ，pardon，
Now is all that exists.
因为现在就只存在的就是现在，
There is nowhere else to be excited.
然后没有什么其他的地方能够让你兴奋。
Yes，
Make sense?
yes，
听起来有道理吗
Okay.
OK，
？OK，
Thank you.
Thank you。
Thank you, Bashar.
Hi, Bashar.
And a good day.
Thank you for having me here. And thank you, AT, for inviting me. My question is, how do I make more of a positive impact on the spiritual realm I'm in?
You understand the formula that we just discussed?
Yeah.
What other answer do you need? If following your passion and acting on it to the best you can, with no resistance and insistence, allows you to raise your frequency closer to that which is representative of your greater self, what else is necessary? Because the thing that is important to understand is you already have all the impact. This is true for all of you. You already have all the impact you will ever have just by the fact of your existence. The idea is you don't create more impact, you just become more aware of the impact you already have.
Okay.
Make sense?
So how
You understand the difference?
I do. How do I become more aware of the impact?
I just told you. You're separating things out that are not separable. You act on your passion to the best you can with no insistence or assumption as to the outcome and just keep doing that, and all the automatic tools come into play. It becomes the driving engine of your life. It becomes the organizing principle of synchronicity. It becomes the path of least resistance. It becomes the path that connects to all other expressions of your excitement. It becomes the path that supports you in whatever form of abundance you need. It becomes the reflective mirror that shows you something within you that might be out of alignment with your excitement, so you can examine it, let it go, and bring that energy back into alignment. It leaves nothing out, and if you remain in a positive state, no matter what happens, you will always extract the beneficial and positive effect. And this is the instruction manual in its entirety. There are no more instructions. That's it. It's that simple.
Got it.
Just follow the instructions in the same way you would if we handed you an instruction manual to learn how to operate a piece of machinery. You follow the instructions, the machine works to your advantage. You throw the instructions away or ignore them, you might injure yourself. So follow the instructions, it will work to your advantage because it always works. Remember, there is positive and negative synchronicity. So if you are only using the idea or adhering to the ideas of negative or fear-based beliefs, then synchronicity can only reinforce the negativity because it doesn't have a mind of its own. But if you follow the instructions, stay in the positive state, follow your passion, act on it, don't give resistance to the flow, your natural flow, go with the flow, then you will get the effect of the positive side of synchronicity to your advantage. That's the instruction manual. Just follow the instructions. You'll be fine.
Thank you.
Does that help?
Definitely.
All right.
Also, I have a question about synchronicity.
Yes.
In terms of numbers.
Yes.
And
they're road markers, letting you know that at the moment you see a synchronistic number reflected to you, you're in the correct vibration in alignment with your path at that moment. Stay in that state.
Okay.
Yes?
Yep. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. How synchronous of you, because that's all I had to say too.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day to you. I might not use the similar language, but I'm
That's
sure
all
we
right.
can meet. Okay. So I don't really have an organized question, but I think we could have.
Do you have a disorganized one?
I do, actually.
All right.
So just let me know if I'm off, but this is what I've gathered so far.
All right.
It's human experience.
By the way,
Yes.
asking to be told when you're off is being off.
Always being off.
Oh, it'll take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. Once again, we thank each and every one of you and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission this day of your time. We will begin this transmission titled, You Are All Time Travelers, in the following way. First, a brief reminder of some things we have talked about regarding what time is. Time, remember, is a side effect of your consciousness shifting over and over and over and over and over and over again to different points of view of the same single moment of existence and making it appear to be different moments. You can use the analogy we have used before that these different moments are themselves parallel realities that can be illustrated as frames, if you wish, on a film strip. So each frame is its own reality, but it has no movement in it, no experience in it, in a sense, no awareness in it, no self-reflectivity in it. Each frame is a single snapshot, a static snapshot of a potential position, a potential state of being, so to speak. Therefore, when you move, when you shift your perspective, your consciousness, through the different frames, one after another, as you say, like a projector light, through a film strip, you get the illusion of continuity, the illusion of movement, the illusion that creates the experience of time and space and change and growth and difference. Now, if you will, look at the top page of your handouts where you see all the different squares, one group, the A group, another group, the B group, and each has an arrow moving through it from left to right. In the A group, you see that all the squares represent different frames, different parallel realities that your consciousness will shift through to create the illusion of time. You shift through these parallel realities, these frames, billions of times per second, literally, to create that smooth illusion of physical reality and time and space. Blinking through them so quickly, you don't even realize that you're actually shifting from one reality to another that many times per second, but you are. Now, in the top example, the arrow appears to be going relatively straight from left to right. This is usually how your consciousness sort of perceives the idea, as a smooth continuity, one moment after the next, one progression after the next, one step after the next, in some sort of logical, continuous way or experience. Now, it can be, in a sense, that way. The frames could line up that way next to one another. However, more likely and more often, more commonly, the picture is actually more like group B. You're actually jumping all over the place into different frame moments as you determine for yourself what the next experiential frame ought to be that serves you best for whatever your belief system has to be or happens to be at that moment. Therefore, even though you may actually be jumping around, so to speak, now again, remember, this is an illusion even unto itself, because everything is actually here and now. All the frames are here and now. They're not really spread out like this. This is just the easiest way to simplify the concept in your three-dimensional reality. Fourth dimensional when you include the concept of time as you move through the frames, so to speak. But it is more like the idea of skipping around all over the place. Now, the point is you may not actually know you're doing that because it will still feel like group A, like the arrow in group A. It will still feel like you're just moving straight ahead, frame after frame, stepping stone after stepping stone in a logical, continuous progression with none of this jumping around. However, as you start to expand your consciousness, as your senses become more aware that you're creating the illusion of time and space, you may begin to experience what we will call breaking continuity. And breaking continuity can be experienced more often than not like suddenly things are happening in a more accelerated way. You don't necessarily experience what normally would have been the in-between moments. It's kind of the result of a how did I get here moment? How did that happen moment? There wasn't enough time for me to get to this place, but I got here anyway moment. Those kinds of slippages of space and time that allow you to experience a break in continuity is the result of your consciousness becoming more aware of the fact of group B. You're jumping around all over the place all the time anyway. So becoming more aware of that fact can actually allow you to perceive that you're jumping around like that all over the place and actually create the sensation of a break in continuity so that time and space start skipping around, or you start skipping around within it in ways you couldn't imagine would be possible before. You can accelerate things, slow things down, take detours, and perceive them as you do them. Now, this is the basic framework that is happening with regard to what we're going to discuss about time travel and how you use this in various ways. So, you may turn to the second page, if you will, of your handout. Looks like a lot more fun there, doesn't it? Anyone flashing back to their schoolwork days? Oh, what do I have to memorize now? You have to memorize nothing. Just follow along. Whether you understand all of this, whether it all sinks in right now or not, is not the point. We will walk you through it. You will absorb whatever you need to absorb at this particular moment, but it's really not that difficult. Understanding, again, the basic premise that there are many different kinds of frame moments, parallel reality framework moments that you move through in your own way that create your sensation of moving through time and space. So, at the top, you see simply the basic layout, the idea that as you move through life and you go from being a baby to being a child to being a teen to being an adult to being a senior, these just represent major frame moments within the entire spectrum of your life, and the rows below them represent the same moments in your life. So, the idea is that time travel, in the way that your science fiction stories portray it is not really the way it works. It is all about the idea of shifting to parallel realities that may be very, very similar to your own, and so you might not immediately be able to tell the difference that you actually haven't traveled in your own timeline, but I'm telling you that you haven't. And example number 1 gives you the perfect illustration of why that doesn't happen. If you look at the idea of, again, the symbol at the top, you go from the idea of the baby to the child to the teen to the adult to the senior. Then look at the first row of the second example, example A, and you go, all right, this person in the top row is a baby, and then they become a child and a teen, but as an adult, suddenly, they invent time travel, and they decide, I'm going to go back and I'm going to see myself as a child, a younger version of myself. Now, you would think, as most of your sci-fi stories propose to you, that you're actually going back to your childhood. You're not, in the sense that you recognize yourself as being an adult traveling back in time to meet a younger version of yourself. That's very different than what you experienced as a child, not having met an older version of yourself. That frame, when you went through your childhood, those frames are those frames. And if in those frames you never met an older version of yourself coming back and saying, hi, I'm your future self, then you can't change those frames. Those frames are fixed. They are those frames. The frame that just has you in it as a child and not your future self. So when you do then have the experience of traveling back in time, quote unquote, and actually running into your younger self and introducing yourself as the future self, that's taking place in a parallel reality where in that reality, that child met you. Not even from that child's timeline, but from another parallel timeline. But now you've become part of that child's timeline history. And now that's child 2, that's timeline 2, as you can see by the numbers in that example. And as you then interact with that child and that child grows up, that child still grows up as child 2. Now, when you decide, all right, well, I'm going to go back to my own time when I left, you can't do that exactly either. Because look at the diagram where it shows that the adult in the top row has left to go back to meet the child's self in the other reality. That frame doesn't include you anymore. It's blank, and it always will be. You can't go back to that moment. You can't go back to that reality. So when you decide to get in your time machine and again, quote unquote, go back to the future, you will find that you will be in a different parallel reality again. You will be the senior of that reality because now you've changed your own experience of history by meeting your childlike self, which didn't happen in the primary timeline. So you're skipping all over the place, becoming another version, in a sense, shifting your consciousness to become another version in another parallel reality of yourself. Now, look at the next example, the idea that says actual time travel rather than parallel reality time travel. If you actually, literally, went back in time in your own timeline, you wouldn't meet your child self, you would be your child self. Because your consciousness exists all the way up and down the timeline already. So the idea of literally traveling back in time in your own timeline means you simply experience yourself literally as the child again and are right in that moment where the child has no idea what it's going to grow up to be. You are literally that child and nothing else at that moment. It's almost like creating a loop where you're living it over again. That's what actually would happen in time travel, is you would not know you had time traveled. You would simply find yourself being the child exactly the way you did experience being the child, and you would have no idea you're going to grow up and invent a time machine. It would just be you experiencing yourself as the child. Now, at the bottom, you have a similar idea, but the dotted line means you're not actually physically traveling back in time. It's just that you're allowing your consciousness to, in a sense, slide back down the timeline and experience the idea of the child, but this is simply what you call a memory. That's what memory is. You're actually allowing your consciousness to slide up and down the timeline, but only your consciousness, and you are experiencing the idea of remembering what it was like to be the child in that moment, and sort of reliving that experience, but you're not actually committing fully to having time traveled down your timeline to be the child. You are simply allowing yourself to continue to remember that you are the adult having this experience of remembering that childhood moment. You are time traveling in your timeline, but only with your consciousness, not with your physical self. And that kind of time traveling you call a memory. Doing that kind of time traveling in the opposite direction, in what you call the future, is what you call the idea of being psychic and predicting the future. In a sense, again, there are still the engagement of all the different parallel realities, so on and so forth. There's all these probabilities. You don't necessarily know which one will be the absolute one that you will experience, but nevertheless, you can perhaps be sensitive enough to figure out the probabilities of what might happen and maybe move in that direction as you keep shifting through these parallel frames of existence. Is this making some sense so far? Yes. All right. If you do have questions or require clarifications about any of this, certainly you may do so if you have been called up for questions a little bit later. But right now, this is the fundamental idea and the fundamental understanding that lays the foundation for the concept that we are discussing this day of your time. Now, how do you start navigating these frames in a more conscious way to your advantage? How do you become an expert time traveler? This always goes back to the formula that we've given you. Now that you have a better understanding, or at the very least a diagram that your brain can relate to, now that it can actually see some form of layout, some presentation of how this works, and it can relate to those images, the idea of acting on your passion to the best you can with no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome is supposed to look like is actually your navigation tool. It will automatically guide you through the frames that are most representative of the path of least resistance, the path through these frames that is actually best for you. Go back to page 1. Look at diagram B, where the arrow seems to be jumping all over the place on its route through those frames. Now, as you really start aligning more with your passion, following that formula, allowing the tools in the kit of excitement to work to your advantage, and choosing to remain in a positive state, no matter what happens, responding to it in a positive way so that you can get the benefit from it, no matter how it looks, that will start to determine exactly what that path looks like. And every single time you make any alteration whatsoever in the belief systems within you, even the slightest alteration, the slightest change, that arrow that is jumping all over the place will completely change its form, and you will be skipping through it in a different path. The next change, skipping through it in a different path. The next change, skipping through it in a different path, all the way through. Why? Because as we have told you, every single change you make actually changes your past as well as your future. You're always in the present. So it's not like you're going to go, all right, well, the path starts out here, then goes there, then goes there, then goes there. Well, I'm going to make a change here, and so it might be different from that point forward. No, it will also be different from that point backward, because as you become a different person, from the linear framework point of view, you have to create a different history that brought you to the point of being the person you say you are now. That's how it works in physical reality. You have to have the continuity of having the past that works to make you the person you say you are in the present. Making sense? So the entire arrow, the entire path changes. So the idea is, again, you can navigate this more consciously. You can start experiencing more breaks in continuity, experiencing more flexibility, malleability, plasticity in space and time. Things can start happening much more synchronistically, much more magically. When you allow yourself to truly align more strongly with your passion, act on it, to ground it, to commit to it through your physical action, that demonstrates the energy, that creates the energy, that radiates the frequency, that acts as your rudder through these frames, through these parallel realities. And that will continue to determine exactly what path you are taking, so that you will always only then be experiencing the frames that are always to your best benefit, to your advantage, always representative of the path of least resistance, always representative of the path of connection to all things that are relevant to you in your life, always giving you exactly what you need, supporting you in that way, and always allowing you the freedom to choose to be who you prefer to be. That's how it works. Does this make some sense to you? All right. So let all of this just sort of simmer. Let it all sink in. The handout is yours to ponder at any time. You may have other insights that may come up just by the planting of this seed, but please understand, you are all already time travelers. This is your nature. You're not learning to do something you don't already do. This is for the purpose of helping you to become aware, more conscious of what you're already doing, so that you can utilize it to your advantage in a more conscious way, so that you can begin to truly expand your senses and become more sensitive to the changes that take place in your experience of reality, and learn to recognize when major shifts are actually occurring that are breaking your continuity, so that you can leap for joy at the quantum leap you have just made. In a sense, it can actually feel like, not that you're doing this literally, but can actually feel like you are skipping over frames. So the idea then is you will feel accelerated. You will feel, again, that there is very little resistance. Your challenges will all be exciting and expanding. You will grow from them, and you will be living the birthright that you deserve to live. So use this tool to your advantage. It is a powerful recognition to understand how reality works. When you can truly see the structure of existence and understand that you can use it to your advantage this way, many things will become very clear, and many questions that you may have had will be easy for you to answer. Yes? Yes. So we thank you for allowing us to share this tidbit of timely information. And we ask now, in what way may we continue to be of service to you? Please begin your questions and dialogues if you wish.
Good evening.